Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7:02 p.m. and the date is September 15, 2015. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates. The alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are Ms. Kate Housley, Ms. Lisa Carson, and alternate Mr. Ed Baum, and I am John Goldsey, the chair. Also present are zoning administrator Mr. John Paskey and secretary Mr. Paul Eschenbacher. At this time, I will invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably.
Knock on the door.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer, department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the board to the applicant. Thank you.
There is only one case tonight on tonight's agenda, case number 15-15V, and the property is at 8 Tulane Road. The board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will present to the board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Did you have any questions on the procedures? Did you hear everything? Okay, we're going to go through it again once more. Again, case number 15-15, property at 8 Tulane Road, zone R1. Mr. Kenneth Halroy is the appellant. Appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 230801A to allow a parking space between the front right-of-way line and the front of the house, where such parking is not allowed. Mr. Paskey, earlier I asked Mr. Reschenbacher the question that the driveway obviously extends to the right-of-way.
What this is they're wishing to put some of their parking area in front of the house. The code allows for a driveway to be in front of the house if it's in front of a carport, a garage, or an extended drive.
Okay.
But if it's in front of the main structure of the house, then that's considered parking in the front setback. And they're in a unique situation. I know there's a couple other houses out there where there were garages, I think, that were converted into living rooms. Another garage built on, and the driveway still exists. So that's why I think the builder called me and said, well, everyone else is doing it, but so so that's where they're at. So it's an idea of just getting the parking space that would be in front of the primary structure.
Okay. Otherwise, it would be okay if it's not in the right-of-way.
If it would have been in front of a garage or a carport. And they can speak to that if where they want to put it. It used to be a garage area. I don't know. I know they're doing some remodeling and they did some other work on the house, and I'll let them speak to that.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Paskey? Okay, you may go to the podium. State your name and your address for the records, please.
My name is Ann Brown. I'm married to Ken Holroyd. I live at 8 Tulane Road in Athens. We moved to this property in July. We purchased it in January and began renovations on it shortly thereafter, and then we moved in July. What we're asking has been explained is we're asking for a variance so that we can put a parking space next to the existing driveway. Our current house, I do have some illustrations here, so I'll pass these out. I know Lisa and John were there today. So our current house has a single-car garage, and then there's this area here. I will show you. So I think this was originally part of the house. I don't think this was a garage. I think this was built as a garage. It was a one-car garage, and what we would like to do is extend it approximately 6 feet. These are flags. It's not a really big photograph. To increase the parking so we can park side by side rather than front and back, and I'll explain why we would like to do that. We have currently what I guess they consider 2 parking places, the one in the front and the one in the back. And this is the road that we're on is 2-lane, is one side of 2-lane, and it's extremely narrow road with no curbs at all. So there's no place to park on the road at all if we have somebody visiting, if somebody's doing work on our house. If we're both there, then there's no alternative but for them to park on the lawn. We have, because of the new house, because of the way the house is sited on the lot, it extends far over to the left in that picture. There's only a couple of feet to the property line. So we're not able to extend our driveway to the left of the line because there's simply not room. So some of the issues that we face with this, when there are extra cars, they do park on the lawn. I mean, of course, it's very unsightly. The first thing, we had some workers there, but when you have anybody to come at all, they pull off. It's also, if they pull off close to the road, it's difficult for traffic to pull by if they try to avoid being on the lawn. But so it's very unsightly, but it also is ruining the lawn, and I'm concerned about for a number of reasons. This is a very low area with a very high water table, and this year we had so much rain that it was extremely wet. And if the grass is gone there's a lot of runoff into the road, and there's also this small stream that runs in the middle of Tulane, and I think potentially that could run off into there as well. It's also very inconvenient and cumbersome for us if one of us wants to leave and the other is there to have to back out and in. I'm concerned about that in the winter because it's very narrow, as I said, and that goes right over into the stream. It's, I think, hazardous to do that continually. And in addition, there's not a lot of traffic on the road, but there are a lot of people walking animals. And I think it's, obviously we're going to be very careful and not try and hit anybody, but it's really a lot. It really increases the movement around the driveway. This is just as an aside, we have had to go to the urgent care in the ER in the past few months for some health concerns, and I guess I would like to have things be as expedient as possible if we need to do that again. And then we do have one child, and when she comes home, she will be driving and would also need to have parking for her. In terms of equal rights, most of the houses on the street have 2 parking places. The houses on each side of us have 3 parking places. The ones that have 1 parking place have only 1 car. Let's see. We want to do some landscaping, and if we have to park on the lawn, that's really going to be, I think, a loss. Well, it'll be a loss for us, and it would be really unfortunate, I think, in terms of our ability to make our property as appealing as possible. In terms of absence of variance, we did ask the neighbors on all sides. We did have, here's a visual aid on how ugly our lawn is right now. Anybody? Sorry. So I think I know we submitted this, but I don't know if you have a copy. We did go and ask our neighbors on both sides and across the road and a little bit down the road if they had any objections to our widening our driveway. They unanimously said that they did not. And I think that, did I leave anything out, Ken, that you can think of? So I think that is what I have to say, and I hope that you will consider this favorably for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on 1 second. Is there any questions? Okay, you may be seated.
Thank you.
We don't have anyone else present to speak on behalf or against or in general, but I have a petition from the neighbors at addresses 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, and 14 Tulane Road that they say they have no objection to this proposal. And it will extend approximately 5 feet into the lawn in front of the house. That's what it says. Okay, we close the discussion from the floor. Any discussions in the board? Yes, sir.
Several years ago, when I was on city council, we had a discussion about the zoning code of this very issue. And the general principle was, as was enunciated by our code director, is that you can only park in front of a garage or a carport, not extend into the house, or not extend into the lawn or the other areas. And the question is, are there any exceptional circumstances which would allow that? And the only exceptions we came up with were on Grosvenor, where you have a hill going up or a hill going down and there's no other place. So in following the general principle, are there any exceptional things that, other than convenience, that would allow me to say there are some exceptional circumstances or situations which would allow people to park in front of the house? Mm-hmm. And at this point, I don't see it.
For this case, actually, I do see it because when I went to visit the property, I had no choice because this street is very narrow. I was parking on the grass actually, and then she said, "Well, people park on the grass," and then I was embarrassed but I had no other choice basically. The street is two ways, and you have to be watching both sides. And again, if somebody is visiting, or if somebody is doing some work on the house, or anyone, they have to park on that grassy area. I mean, there's not enough space to park on the street, and yet be enough room for other car to pass you. So that's
I point out there are a number of streets in Athens which you cannot even park on the street.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure that is a.
Well, the thing is that
reason.
if you just for anything that wants to, if there's a contractor or somebody wants to go to their house, even for 5 minutes, even maybe the meter man for the electricity, they have to park right in the grass area. And all that area, I noticed that the grass was. So I would say that would be an exceptional circumstance.
Isn't it a hardship not to be able to park on the street at all?
There are lots of houses in Athens, and no one's come to say we should be able to park on the grass in front of the house.
Well, they might have sufficient parking in their driveways.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
Well, if this were a double garage, there'd be a double driveway, and it would be sort of a moot point. It seems to me that we're going to park anyway, and we might as well make it as easy and aesthetically pleasing. And the circumstances of the road, I think, as John has stated, are unusual. And
Then you could argue that for every house on the street, they could come back and ask to park.
Well,
Wider
we look at
driveway.
each case individually. And
Yeah, but the question is it a general nature? And if it's of general nature, then we should consider it in that circumstances.
But most people these days have different requirements than when the homes were built and the street was set up in the configuration that it was, and we have to accommodate sort of modern times.
I can say this question does come to us an awful lot, particularly with streets that do not have curbs. This question comes to us an awful lot, particularly with streets that do not have curbs. People parking perpendicular or what would be in the berm of the street along the front of the house. Is that considered front yard parking, which is also a violation, or is it considered parking in the right of way along the front of the street? And with the curb not there, it gets tricky. We have lots of instances around that in town, and I'm getting questioned about it all the time. Maybe it is something very, very, it happens on Columbia and Joneswood and up through there. We have constantly, and then it gets even trickier there because the property lines on those streets technically go to the center of the street. So technically they are parking in their front setback. But we have the same problem on Central on the west side where we don't have curbs, where people are parking along the edge of the street. So it is a problem throughout town, and it's a problem that comes to our office quite frequently. I don't know if any of the others have any of them on Joneswood, or Paul, can you think gotten variances? I don't think they have, or have they?
No.
So Columbia, but I know it is an issue. So they might be the first of many. So it might be of a general nature soon. So
any other discussions? And we are looking also for a motion.
I can do a motion.
Okay. Raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, could you come to the podium? It's unusual, but since we only have one case, we're just going to...
Yeah. It's disruptive.
Please state your name and your address for the record.
Kenneth Holroyd, 8 Tulane Road. I just wanted to comment that people will be parking in front of the house on the grass, irrespective, since that's the only place to park. And on this street, there'll be because it's narrow, they'll be parking, particularly in the winter where there's ice, snow, and in addition to being pretty unsightly, it's potentially makes the street much more difficult to drive on or navigate. And I mean, people. So there's going to be cars in front of the house, whatever we do, because there's no other place to park a car along there. So just wanted to remind people of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Lisa.
Okay, I move that we consider granting a variance in case 15B at 8 Two-Lane Road from Athens City Code 230801A to allow a parking space between the front right-of-way line and the front of the house where such parking is not allowed.
I second.
Okay, we have a second. Shall we go through the findings? Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applied to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. I understand your point saying that all those homes are under the same condition, but again, today I was parked there for not more than 3 minutes. If another car would have been on the street, I had to move. So I think that might be a cause for exceptional circumstances.
I think so. I mean, it's true that the road is the same all along the way, but other residents seem to have sufficient parking on their property, whereas this house only has the one,
Yeah.
one width or whatever.
Practical difficulty. So the same exceptional circumstances creates this difficulty. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you all agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity.
Yes, and we've seen the neighbors sign the survey or whatever, suggesting that they approve of it, and most of the other neighbors have sufficient room, unlike this home.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. And from what I saw today, it was really an extension of about 5 to 6 feet maybe. And it covers 5, 6 feet in the front of the house. But I thought it was minimal.
I agree.
Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. I personally think this might improve actually in that respect. Neighbors obviously have been positive about it. And not of a general nature. So did we decide it is a general nature?
I guess we decided we'll see in the future whether it is.
Yeah, okay. Now, once we get a shot of the entire members, everyone, okay, all in favor of this variance, please raise your hand. So we have 4-0. You have the variance.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me make a comment.
Sure.
I raised the question I raised because I understand that the code office and the planning director are going to be reviewing the zoning code, and I hope this is one of the issues that is addressed in their review.
When's this happen?
Okay, we are almost done. Deposition of the minutes from August 11, 2015 meeting. I read it and I thought it was fine. Everyone?
Yes?
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of August 11?
So moved.
Okay. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
No, we have to vote on it.
We have to vote on the minutes.
Oh, okay. All in favor? He said so
Yes.
moved. I thought maybe that was done.
We know we're going to vote for it, but for the record, we have to keep
Okay.
Mr. Eschenbacher
Do we
happy.
have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor? Okay. We are out.